Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Let's just see how I can open it so I can see the text messages. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'll just assume that Anchorma is going to keep an eye on chat because I'm silly and I didn't open up YouTube. I don't know how to open that without ruining a stream. Bear with me. Okay, let's start with Bitcoin. So, as you can see, we are stuck here in between a big buy and sell orders. We keep fighting with those walls. They're like a multi-million-dollar walls, and every time we just touch them, slam it back down, touch it, slam it, touch it, slam it. So we're just fighting with it, and those blue ones are, the biggest sell orders. So we have the next one still sitting at 104 or 5, 105, and then up to 106. But presumably, once we break above that, it's gonna go pretty quickly up because we'll start squeezing a lot of shorts that open up the positions in this region. Now, I'd start with Bitcoin and I'll cover some thoughts about different spot position we discussed as well. So we entered Bitcoin here. We had two entries actually on the spot position around the 93. And I just don't see how we're gonna retest that anytime soon, but well, we have to be open for all the possibilities. Now, the reason behind the long call on Bitcoin today was that lead to three-wave tab above the EMA. So I'll go over EMAs later on, but pretty much you have a EMA 12, 25, 99, and 200. No idea which one is this. Oh, that's the smooth. You can ignore the white one for now. It's just a trend line. So we discussed it on the previous stream that those EMAs are crucial for a trend, and you see where you are at with the market cycle. Obviously, with the SPX, same with Bitcoin. So as you can see here, from 102, the moment we accepted below EMA 99, we are on 4-hour chart. We are in a downtrend all the way from 102 to 74. Now, the moment we accepted above that EMA 99, we never really accepted below it. So we started trending up from 82 and we are all the way up to, the high was at almost 106K. So the easiest way to look at the charts is to have these four EMAs. You have a EMA 12, 25, 99, and 200. 299 are those two, and 12, 25 are these thin white ones you see over here that pretty much like are leading the price. Now with Bitcoin spot position, I am not looking to sell anytime soon. If we get some dips, I'll be adding. I think we're at least going to all-time high. That will be my first TP around 109, 110. And then we'll look for some higher targets, but that I don't think, unless that structure changes, we are going to see lower prices for now. Especially looking now how SPX and NDX equities are looking. We are pretty bullish for at least next few weeks to few months. Now let's start with the long call I did on server, if everyone saw. So structure wise, it just reminded me this 3-wave here. So it's something very similar. I changed it to 1 hour on EMA 1225, so that's that white one you see that is leading the price. And we had a similar here. We have a first wave pretty much like here, deep below EMA, second wave, touch the EMA, chop around here, and then there was like this third wave, and then we went straight up. Oh, sorry, it will be easy on 4 hour. So you have a first, second, and when it was the fourth one, we ripped straight back up. Now we have a very similar here when we took this big long at 93 case. You have a first, second, then it was the third one, retest and rip back up. So it's very possible that we have a similar structure right now, that we going to have that first wave, second, and that third squeeze up, retest, and then we rip back up. So if we maintain the bullish structure, I'll expect something like that here. Squeeze up, liquidate shorts, liquidate longs, a little bit of chop, and rip back up. And that EMA will catch up with us just over here. Will be very similar, like nearly identical to what happened here and what happened at 83,000. So that's how I see Bitcoin right now. I think we will be choppy, but that support here is building up on Bitcoin is pretty significant. So the longer we chop above 100,000, the better, because now you can see. I'll show you how to identify support as well. Like you have here, this cluster, now all of the direction, it's support, and over here. So we already have a support building up here just above the Monday low. And there's a lot of buy orders. If we look on the, okay, look at that. All of this like multi-million buy orders. So we should have immediate reaction if we even get back to that level. Now also we're starting to build the support over here. So there's this another cluster around 103 to 102.8, this and this. Now similar to what happened previously, now EMA 99 is curving back up. It's leading the price up, and that smoothen SMA 200, it's about to cross, or it's very close to cross. And we had a very similar situation just over here. When it was leading the price up, we had a lot of chop around it. Any deviation below the EMA was very short-lived, as you can see. And then we squeeze up straight away. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. That's the reason I'm long now on Bitcoin. Let me just clear this up so it'll be easier to understand it. If it's unclear, just write in the comments. So I'll try to explain the logic. I'll just try to do it as simple as it possible. But overall, you're looking on a very simple invalidation. As long as we're holding above that EMAs here, or any dips here should be short-lived. This is 200, this one is extending. We should be going higher. Now the tricky part, if we start accepting below, first warning is like about that 103.5, 103.4 level. If we started accepting below that, so we see something like that, try to retest and fail and starting to accept, then we're looking for long and lower down. Probably gonna get stopped on the Bitcoin long that I opened a couple hours ago, and then we look for this area around the Monday low. Now, if that fails to hold, well, then the next area of interest is probably somewhere between 98 to 96,000, somewhere around here. That would be a good entry. Because if you look, this EMA is gonna start curving back up. So even if we start dipping low, it's probably gonna stop somewhere over here, and then you already have a support that started building, over here. Will that make sense? So that's how you look at them on the EMAs, and trying to justify the invalidation and when we heading up next. Hope I'm explaining that correctly. Now with few charts that I posted on the spot, I just want to explain how to build spot positions. But before I get to that, there's one thing I've noticed, let's say ages ago, and I think that's the continuing trend. That if trade is not going in your direction, people click the wrong thing. People get upset, have negative reaction, cry faces, and whatever, which is understandable. Obviously, we all want to have a winning trades all the time. You have to understand that in a trading, you have to accept that at least 40% of your trades gonna be losses. That's the reason we have invalidation. That's the reason we have a stop losses, etc., etc. So if I took the long here on Bitcoin and I have 1% stop loss, let's say I took it on 10x, I do accept that 10% of that position, it's can be gone, and I'm not worried about that. Before I open position, I have to understand that if I get stopped out, I won't be upset. It was calculated risk. Everything is a game of probabilities. That makes sense. And I think a lot of time we're just getting emotional over those lead to losers that this trade didn't happen. Sometimes you can have a bad 2, 3, 4 trades in a row, and doesn't mean that your logic maybe was bad. Sometimes you just maybe choppy markets, better to step aside for 2, 3 days, observe, or for a few hours, see what's going on before you step back in. Maybe just to approach it with a fresh mindset. Maybe something was off, or maybe market is just not indecisive. I mean, this price action here, it's pretty brutal to trade unless you're a good scalper. You can pretty much just short here, long, short, long, short, and you just play in that range. Realistically, we are currently stuck between 100.7k range to 104.8. So pretty much you're shorting anything between 104 to 104.8, and you're longing anything between 107 to 101.7, something like that. If you're a scalper, personally not my favorite thing, prefer to bigger swing position, but you can trade that way too. And if you do accept the risk with every trade and the size, you can just adjust it to the current market conditions as well. So let's say we have a significant dip, we get to this area, which is pretty good support. We just saw that there's a lot of buy orders. I won't open the same size trade over here as I would open over here if I'm long, if that makes sense. Let's say I have a 10k portfolio that I'm trading. Here I'll probably take one third, maybe even less for a trade. But here I'll happily take at least half of my normal size, if not more. And then if we get lower down, it's like, fuck, this is a great opportunity. I was looking for those prices for a while. So if I get, let's say, deep to that 98, 97, well, here I'm going full size. That makes sense? That way also you're managing your risk. If you long, the lower it goes, the higher risk and the bigger size you can take. And the same thing if you're shorting, pretty much the higher it goes, the bigger size you can take of the trade, and obviously the bigger risk. And I think that's also something what people don't understand with the spot positions. So we had that spot I posted on the server. I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago. We started the first 93k position. We can say it's, let's say, 12% too late because the trend started at 82, but I wasn't so sure that it's not a fake out, and I was expecting still that SPX maybe wouldn't perform so well. The overall trade was from here. Let's just use it as an example. We opened the trade somewhere around 93.5 here, and whatever the stop loss was on the trade and so on. And let's say I'm trying to build a spot position on Bitcoin. Let me just zoom out. Let's try to, for example, 12-hour. So let's say my stop loss is, hard stop loss is set at 91.2. My invalidation is acceptance below 92 on Bitcoin on higher time frames. And I'm looking for way higher targets. So how I can start the position is, let's say we post a trade over here. I have my first buy. Let's say I'm going with 20%. Now, I see that price is just wandering around here. Now we got the retest here, again in the same area, but I also can see that EMAs are going back up, you see? Blue one, 200, and EMA 99, they're going towards the upside. So we can assume that the trend is shifting towards the upside, and I'm not betting towards the higher prices, lower prices yet. So maybe here I'll just add another, 40%. And then if I have another opportunity, let's say we drop over here, just around the EMAs, I'll add another, 20% and leave something lower down if we drop. What most of the people do is the opposite. They enter either 100% straight away here, or they buy a little here, for example, like 10%. Oh, I'm not so sure. I don't know how the trade is gonna work out. And then, oh my God, it's going up. I'm missing out. Here they're adding another 50%. And here is like, oh, holy fuck, I missed out completely. And here they are adding another 40%. And now instead of your average entry being, for example, 93 and a half, the average entry is probably around Monday low, which is 101K. You know what I mean? And to explain that maybe better, I posted some new calls that are not currently in profit. So for example, I said that I'm accumulating a bit of XRP and Fartcoin. So let's look at the Fartcoin. I believe that was that's the spot position. So look at the Fartcoin, and we have a very nice structure here on 12-hour. Maybe we change even 6-hour. There we go. Then I have more history of EMAs. So I can see nice, trend up on the EMA 99, 200, very clear to the upside. Now I don't know where would be a right entry, but if I look at the price, I can see that it is respecting a trend. Any deviations below EMA 99 here are very short-lived. So here it's the area that I want to accumulate before it's gonna read back up again. Does it make sense? So I'm setting a hard stop around one. Is like people like the round numbers, or even I just post the invalidation. I mean, I just don't want to see the acceptance below that. So if I see something like that happening, I'll cut it for a loss, because we are going probably way lower to retest below, for example, 90 cents. But anyway, I posted the first buy over here. You take the, let's say, 20% of the size. Oh, there's a nice dip over here. Here, I'm taking another 30% to my trade. And we get another dip, let's say to 110. And here I have opportunity to add, let's say, 50%. Now, if we don't get to that price, I'm keeping this, not adding. Now, if I see the trend shifting back up and we're starting to accept, above that, for example, Monday low, which is a good indicator, maybe I'll add more to my size, but you can also just stay with that 50% of the size. So let's say if you allocated 10,000 to that trade, I'm with 5K, for example, right now. And if we dip to, let's say, 115 to 110 area, I'll add another 30 to 40%. To 50%. That makes sense? Now again, the same problem as mentioned on the Bitcoin chart. Most of the people, if I post the spot trade to build the position, they will just ape 100% just over here, and they seeing price dropping down. It's like, oh no, we need to sell immediately. Maybe we'll have a chance to buy lower. You have no idea, but that's not how you build the position. You just assume that this is your area to build to dollar cost average. The lower it goes, the more you buy. So you start with 20, the lower it goes, you go, for example, 35, whatever. And if it goes to this area, then you buy, 40 to 50%. That's the easiest way to just build your positions on the spot, because you have no idea like when will be a perfect entry, especially if the market started already trending. Like we had a amazing trade with hype, and I think this is going much higher. I'm not planning to touch it anytime soon, just compound if I have opportunity to add to that. Have a look at hype chart. We're just about to start trending, really. This is gonna warm up hard, in my opinion, as long as the market is gonna behave and we continue to trend towards the upside. Speaking about Bitcoin and SPX and so on, this is going to go absolutely bananas. This is my biggest spot position, hype and Bitcoin. And we started, the first trade was around $20. Now the trade I posted, just to cover something quickly, trade I posted was over here. Now personally, I just went with a decent size over here, and then that was a resistance. Then when I saw that we started accepting above the resistance, I added a bit more size over here. So I was already riding a decent one to the upside. And now I posted re-entry here a few days ago at 24. We already up like 15% from it. So just added to my position on that retest over here of the yearly open. Logic was pretty simple. Now I was just looking if it's not going to be a deviation, because it happened a lot before. We accepted below and then retest, and I will go again with a size around 20. But as you can see, we went back up, retested, reclaimed above. That was a trigger to buy more, and we're sending. That makes sense. Now I really have no idea how what kind of dips we might get on hype. That's obviously depends on Bitcoin and so on. But I think if you get any dips towards the back towards that 24 level, 25 or below, so that weekly yearly open, if we get it and you're not in a position yet, I'll definitely accumulate it. I think this is going to, once we break above that previous quarter high, which is 28.4, like once we break and accept, similar to what happened here above yearly open, it can be deviation. So if we have deviation retest here, then it's opportunity to add, and EMA will perfectly curve over here as well for that opportunity. But now if we reclaim above and hold, this is going to send hard. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to 3 digits in the next few months, especially the closer we get to November. As long as the market is in a decent shape, the more hype there will be on the hype. Because in November, it will be anniversary of TGE. Very likely there will be a lot of announcements. They will announce the points and so on. So that's something to aim for, to farm towards November. Pranay will post a lot of guides on it. But if you're not active and not farming on the EVM on Hyperliquid, you're probably going to miss out on a 5-figure airdrop minimum. Like, I mean, farming consecutively for, few times a week and so on, and creating volume, not like just some random $100 farming, but actual putting some effort, using different protocols and such. So this is uber bullish, and with the amount of the buybacks they're doing, it's absolute insanity. Let me just open here. I think you should see. So it's 1.2 million now buying pressure on it. And if we go on the 1 second, there, high burn. You have still above 40% is to be distributed to the community. That's insane. At the current valuation, it's billions of dollars will be distributed in form of airdrops, rewards, and so on, for people who participate in Hyperliquid. Now we got early in December, and there was a big drop after that. So I guess we didn't have a perfect entries, but I think it's still a bunch of upside on that, so I would not fade it. The buybacks, and 97% of their fees are going to buyback token. It's absolutely insanity. So we just have, I would just suggest to keep that in mind. We have a nice reaction here. You see that support? Boom, reacted straight away. Looking good. We're probably gonna try to tackle that 104.5. We'll see how if that goes, then we should have a nice squeeze up. This is going to be a tough battle here, but bulls are fighting. Hype. So the same thing with XRP, the same thing with Solana as well. If I go through Solana, and that is not my chart, but probably Pranay was playing with it. So if we're going through Solana, this is also decent opportunity to accumulate in this area. Now we get the dip lower down to 160s, that's even better. But I think Solana should be trading back to 240s, 260s over the coming few weeks, few months. There's a very clear trend starting. And now if you look at the EMAs here, let me just clear that up and go for 12-hour. So that EMA 99 is holding us up now since it reclaimed that 137. We're in uptrend. Now we're about to have a golden crossover here in between EMA 99 and 200. Once that happens, we're gonna have a pretty quick move, because this move was very inefficient. There was not a lot of support, resistance build over here. So this yearly open will be a battleground, but I think once we reclaim above that area, it's going to send pretty fast. So for now, I think with Solana, you have good accumulations on here between 173 to 167, and if you get lower dips somewhere here to the previous month high, which is at around 157 to probably like 162, that's another good opportunity to add. And if you want to build a spot position, I posted one already on Corgi calls, I believe. Pretty much looking for something like that. You have a 13% stop loss, which is not bad. We can maybe put it a little bit lower on the monthly open, so about 14%. We don't want to see that acceptance below 299, so it's pretty reliable here. And your target is 260, probably something like that. Now that's a decent trade. So again, you can buy 20% over here. Now if we reclaim above the 180, then I'll probably add another 20-30% over here. And if we have a dips, that's a good opportunity around the previous month high to accumulate before the higher prices. XRP, not a huge fan. I just feel like it's something is cooking with this coin. If we look at that 12-hour, there was a huge squeeze over here. So if you looked at that first ginormous squeeze we had around that 50 cents, and that was the first time we get that cross on the EMA 1225 here, and then also on accepted above the EMA 99 on the 12-hour, and the same thing on daily, and then obviously it ripped like crazy. Now there is a lot of distribution here on XRP, but now again we're starting to having EMA 1225 trending up, so it's a bull sign, and we accepted above EMA 99. So I expect the EMA started going like that. We chop around here, but eventually we start squeezing back up, at least to this to that 295 level. And now it depends obviously on the market if it's going to do something like that. We accept straight above it, and if we accept above that, I don't think this is really relevant. Wasn't that much of a resistance, was a big deviation and slump. I think once we accept above this level, it's going to squeeze back up pretty hard. So it's not a crazy trade. I think that has a decent setup over here. On the spot is a huge market cap coin also. We just accepted above that trend line over here. So similar, you have about 10% towards the monthly open. We can put even slightly lower, and your target is at least towards that previous quarter high and that 299. So you have about 10% risk for here 22 and here 40%. So you can have between 2-hour to 4-hour trade, which is great. And that's especially for people who don't have that much time. You know, you have family, full-time jobs, you're not paying attention to the market and so on. You literally just need to put on the charts EMA 1225, 99 and 200, and follow the charts we're putting on a spot. And I would personally say that 80 to 90% of all of your trading should be spot or low leverage. Like you don't need to take those positions on spot. You can take them on 2-3x, you know, and you take them on 2-3x, then you have a slightly bigger size, obviously slightly bigger risk, so to speak. But like if invalidation is 10%, you take it on 3x, that's 30%. But like your upside is 40% times 3, that's 120. So it's still the same risk to reward. Obviously, it's just a different size you're playing with if you're using leverage. So if you were planning on a spot using 5,000, you know, it's 5,000. But if you take 3x on 5,000, that's, you know, 15,000. So you have to bear that in mind. Next one is Ethereum, and I don't know how to about the spot entry here yet. I was just waiting mostly for Bitcoin to show direction, but I think we're gonna have a nice squeeze on Ethereum as well. It just looks very good now on all the time frames. Now after, you know, being a laughing stock on everyone, this is absolutely fucking brutal. I think it's finally starting to look good. You have this EMA curving over here nicely. Oh, it's probably gonna start doing something like that. So anything you can get in this area between, you know, 2,400 to 2,700, it's probably decent R&R to, sorry, maybe because we can go lower. So this is still bull trend towards that Monday low, even like deviation below. But let's say we still, Bitcoin behaves, we're not dipping below 100k. If we don't dip below 100k, Ethereum is not gonna go below the Monday low. You accumulate in this area between 2,400 and 2,650, and once we reclaim, is this big resistance over here, as you can see. Once we reclaim over here, first objective is a yearly open, that's 3,300. Here's not that much of a resistance, but probably gonna be a little bit battleground, 3,700, and if we accept above that, then we're going to all-time highs. But again, just to show you the trade setup, so let's say if you want to take a spot Ethereum here, the setup would be right now like that. If Bitcoin start accepting below 100k, then we can reconsider. So below Monday low, and you're targeting the previous quarter high. So you have 8-9% risk for a potential 44% reward. Not so bad. Now obviously we start rolling over and Bitcoin accept under 100k, then we'll look for a little bit lower entry, probably towards 2,200, 2,300. But right now I will just look on the current trend and not overcomplicate that too much. Ooh, we have a nice squeeze up on Bitcoin. Let's get back on 1 hour. Yeah, it just very much reminds me, again, obviously I could be wrong, but very much reminds me this fuckery here that everyone was just getting bearish and chopped to pieces when I took the spot positions in long. And here when we started, that EMA was leading the price up, EMA 200 was chasing, and they got very close, and this was the squeeze part. So you see that over here? I mean, as long as we're holding above this, I think we can see a very quick squeeze to like above that Monday high. Probably a little bit of chop, retest, and then we rip back up. But yeah, looking decent now, at least for the next few days, as long as we're not starting rolling over below that support over here. Then here is potential long, and if we accept it below, then obviously we're going 97, 98, but we'll take it day by day. I don't want to overcomplicate it too much. There was something else I wanted to cover. Bear with me 1 second. I'll just check quickly how the looks like. Yeah, it really looks like we're gonna try to target that 104.5. This sell wall over here. We'll see how that goes. The support building, someone is creating a support over here. That's the bid walls, 103.5. And as you see on lower time frames, it's starting to build a support over here. Anytime we get close, we just get a reaction in this area. What else? I can see the chart. I don't know how to open that on YouTube. And Chroma, if you're listening, can you just drop me if there are any questions or something specific to cover from people, or not so much? Yep, he is ignoring me. Let me just open Discord, maybe it'll be easier. See if they have any questions just to cover before we finish. No, nothing specific over here. And did I cover everything? Opening risk management, some chart requests. Okay, let's just do the basically how you look at the chart. That's the last thing I wanted to cover. I just pick up something random. We have bonk here. Let's open bonk. Bonk. So if you look at the chart, again, you want to have a spaceman key levels on the trading view, because then it's giving you this previous week high, Monday high, Monday low, very helpful. You can get the PTC Charlie Trader Exo Macro Trend Scanner. It's not really trend scanner. You basically have EMA 12 and 25 put on the chart with the different colors. If it's turning bullish or bearish, means like if there's a cross to the upside or downside. Pretty helpful. And EMAs 12, 25. You don't need to add that if you have the Exo Trend Scanner 99 and 200. Done and dusted. And then you're opening a chart and usually start from weekly. Weekly doesn't tell us all that much, except that we were here since this cross. We are in a downtrend, and now we're starting to curve back up. So we might have some buy signal here coming up in a few weeks. Now, if those starting to cross over here, then you're gonna have a pretty fast squeeze on a bonk. So that's how the approach on a high time frame. That's how we can start looking on the building spot positions. Now 3-day looking decent. That's not that much. Oh, that's Binance. 3-day. A 3-day. Starting to accept it. Maybe let's just go to daily. Just doesn't seem like it has enough history. There we go. So accepted here about EMA 99. Just over here. We had a nice squeeze up, retest, and it's holding back up. Now, what we want to see is this EMA leading like that, 200, and EMA 99 doing that. And bonk pretty much just do something like that, and eventually will follow. Like EMA is kind of leading the price, especially if you look on the high time frames, and eventually we'll see something like that as long as market is trending. That's the daily time frame. So if you're looking on your favorite coin, you can look at a high time frame. Let's say start from easier, probably from daily. And you can accumulate between, here and here. Like you look at that bonk, we are over here. You don't want to see acceptance below that EMA 99. So you have, it's meme coin, so you have wider stop loss. Now with stop losses, I want to see like any clusters over here in a potential support. So I want to be below that cluster that I'm less likely to get stopped out. You see those over here. So that's my invalidation. And target, honestly, if we start trending, I think it's minimum previous quarter high. So then you have a 93%. And if we get a full-blown market, especially with the current buybacks and so on for the Let's Bonk Fund platform, might as well target all-time highs. But you have a pretty good risk to reward. You're risking here 19% the position. I mean, you can even safer side make it 26% and go below that that level over here, although we don't really want to see acceptance of here below the EMA 99 on daily. We don't want to see that. We want to anytime price goes to this area, we want it to very short term. So I really wouldn't like to see if it's bullish to go below. So you're risking here, let's say that 18 to 25% for a potential upside. I mean, minimum for that week, that's 93%, potential like 160, you know? And then if you want to find the entries, then you're going for 12-hour, 4-hour. Sorry, 12-hour. Let me just clear that up. For your spot position, and then you just accumulate. You're trying to find the entries around this cluster levels and then the bigger red candles. So in a trending market right now, you have anytime you have that bigger drop like here, that's a good opportunity to buy. So anything in this area, if you can buy for bonk, you're probably gonna have a pretty nice reward, at least 2 yearly open and previous quarter high. If that makes sense. And then you look, I don't know, the random coin, what else we have on my Sui here. Sui looks great. Let's just clear that up. Say you like Sui, want to buy it. It has a crazy, squeeze already. So let's show you where you go on daily. And you look in what you see. You see EMA 99, reclaim over here. Ooh. Squeeze. A little bit of retest, squeeze. Probably a little bit of retest and another squeeze. So I see the EMA curving up over here. This 12 and 25 are just, waving, gliding here, and they're probably gonna do that. So realistically, if you want to accumulate the spot, let me just change the color. Then, and we have a red. Pretty much everything between that monthly open to Monday low as a decent area to accumulate spot or let's say low leverage long if we get the steeps. And you're looking for from here below that monthly open you have 10% and your objective is all-time highs, so that's 540. It's like we can play that with every coin, just trying to explain the logic behind it, that structurally most of the good coins, because some of them are just looking still absolutely horrific, look like that. So your goal is pretty much to accumulate them as low as possible. And with a low risk, even if it doesn't work out, let's say that 10%, you get stopped out for 10%, not the end of the world. You are in a bullish trend as long as this, that in a daily EMA 99, it's holding above. So maybe we get a little bit, let me just probably gonna curve like that. So you're in a bullish trend as long as we holding them. So even if we get the dip to, let's say, 330 and started doing that, that's the good opportunity to start buying before it squeeze up higher. So you took the 10% loss over here also on a spot, and then you just looking, 5-6% lower to have a better entry. And here you have a decent support. You have a cluster here, pretty much here. You look here, so that will be, all of that, like you can mark it as the decent support. You see all of these wicks over here. So much action. This means that the buyers are stepping in this area. So if we do get the dips, for example, to, you take the trade over here, you get stopped out. If we get that deeper pullback to 320, 340, this is your great area to accumulate some spot SUI. The first objective will be probably that 430 area we just rejected from. Next one, all-time highs. And then you can play that game of pretty much every chart of the of the trending coin. Bitcoin is fighting. It's gonna be a fight at that resistance there. In terms of questions, let me just go quickly. When to know to DCA up or down into a coin. I just covered that, so that one of the questions. Sorry, just don't see a question, so I'll just check in on Telegram what they're texting. Okay, I assume there's no question on stream, I just can't see it. The only one was about the DCA up and down, so you don't DCA up unless you're shorting. You DCA, Tau. You DCA up when you're shorting and DCA down when you're long, building a spot position. Where's Tau? Tau daily. Let's see what we have. Let's go for 12 hour. It doesn't have that much history. So if you guys watch the previous stream, if coins don't have like what we have on a Tau here, pretty much a year. So if coins have like less than 18 months history, to have a clearer picture of EMAs is usually better to jump from daily to 12 hour, because you see that the estimated moving average starting later, like a few months later, so it's not as accurate. It's easier to look on the it'll be different time frame. Tau, there was brutal sell-off similar to Ethereum. Now here we have a reclaim. I missed that out completely. I was looking at the chart. I had even marked it, and I was so upset because I wanted to swing it. But anyway, here we have a reclaim of EMA 99. Beautiful. You see what I just showed on SUI and some other charts. You see that curvature of EMA 99 and 200. Where's my EMA 200? Just change the color from blue to... There we go. And now the crossing. So if you saw before what was happening, the moment EMA 99 crossed above the EMA 200, it's called golden cross. Look what happened to Tau. That was a huge move. That was a cross over here. So from there, I mean, you had a pretty big move. So similar over here, we already got the cross. It's happening over here. With the Tau, I don't know, it's hard to get the entry because it just looks so good. So I don't know if it's gonna have any dips. You probably EMA, 99 gonna start doing that, and EMA 200 gonna follow, similar to there. Now, We also holding above that. That's the EMA 1225. There's two white ones, a trend line. See any dips below are getting instantly bought up. So I wouldn't be surprised if there anything in that 400 area, it's getting bought up and we're squeezing back up at least to the 590 previous quarter high. Now, if we are lucky, so especially for people who want to accumulate stuff lower and missed out, if we are lucky, we're gonna get something like that. If we get the Bitcoin below 100k, and if you get a dip here to about 390 to maybe like 375, see this cluster over here, cluster, it's gonna be very significant support, and something like that as you're buying here. So if we're lucky to get sub 400 to like 370 on Tau, there's a clear buying before it goes over 500s. Now purely depends on what will Bitcoin, SPX do and so on, but things are looking pretty bullish now. So this is going to be a big trouble area. So at least at first we expect rejection. I mean, there is a lot of time spent in this. Let me just put that that way. So if we get to this area, on Tau, so that 555 to 600, that region, this is likely going to be a biggest trouble area before all-time highs. So if we get a name like, choppy here, go to that previous quarter high, you see how many rejections you're having here. Anytime you accepted back, slam, accepted above, slam, accepted above, that was the all-time high, slam, and then it started the downtrend. So one can assume that this is your first TP, and we might reject pretty harshly there. Now, if you see acceptance above that 600 level, and you see something like that, the best ones are also when you have a big wick above, then it's smaller, it's doing something like that, and then squeeze back up. So this is the first trouble and main trouble area. If we squeeze there, anything under 400 is for buying, so anything around the previous month high and below like 390 to 370. So far, unless Bitcoin goes below 100k, this is a good decent buying opportunity here between 415 to 440 before squeeze higher. If Bitcoin accepts below 100k, then you might have a chance to buy it slightly lower in this area. First objective around 600, and acceptance above that, you looking for all-time highs and price discovery into 800, 900, 1000 and so on. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Hopefully that was useful for some of you. I'm just trying to make it as simple as it possible. Bitcoin still chopping over here. It's just the easiest way to approach, and you can just cherry pick your favorite coin. You don't need to ask anyone for charts. Basically just slapping on it EMA 99, 200, 1225, and starting look from daily, then 12-hour, 4-hour, to get through your entries, and that's how we build the spot positions. For longs, it's pretty much identical. You're just looking on the different time frames. But yeah, that's how it looks, and that's support levels, reactions. Like this is like the extra. You don't really need that, because realistically you can see clearly that support is building over here. There's the demand at that 102.8 to 102 500 to 200 to 8. Sorry, in this area you have a support. So that's when I draw it. You see weak, all of the direction here cluster and here cluster, and the same over here. You see here a bit of consolidation before the breakout. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks reacting over here. So you can clearly see that the buyers are stepping in here. So that's your another support. So that's how we're not making those numbers out of a blue. So you look at the same here, you're looking, it's very clear resistance. I mean, look how much of the price action was here, rejection every single time we touch even that area. So yeah, that was a weekly open, which is nice to have it marked on the chart, but realistically you can see that it is a resistance and we're struggling to break above that. So you don't really need the magic tools to just look at the chart and understand what is going on. Besides of that, just SPX and equities looks absolutely glorious. I thought there will be more trouble with the on that yearly open, but it seems like the buyers stepping in heavily in the it's a huge trend line, and now you can also see that curvature starting on the EMAs. Again, that edit, I have to save it. I want the blue. So look at that, the curvature over here. That's what will start happening. And once you get that cross of EMA 99, like whatever happens here is really irrelevant, because as long as it's going to hold above this level, we are heading for a new all-time highs on SPX and NDX. It's pretty much identical. Like if you look over here, we go on daily. There was a downtrend, there was a bear market over here. You see that acceptance below EMA 99 crossed. That's a death cross when the orange goes below blue. So 99 goes below 200, and we started the bear market all the way down. Now the moment we accepted above, that was over here. Anytime we even touched it, there was just a short-term deviation here. There was some drama, like some short-term black swan, but we didn't even accept. It was just a quick flush below and trend all the way here. Now here we nearly got that cross over here, but we have a huge curve back up. So now if it's starting to trend to the upside, we're going all the times. Everything is just going to go absolutely crazy. Not trying to look for any shorts and so on. You're just looking for the better entries. That's pretty much the approach right now. Not trying to overcomplicate it. What is the one other question? Liquidation maps? Not really. I mean, don't look at liquidation maps. I just look at the buy and sell orders. I don't really care much about liquidation maps. I know there's a guy, Crypto ISO, and there's some other guys just looking where's the most liquidation. I don't think it's relevant and very inaccurate. Like you're trying to hunt where's the most liquidation. Just assume that market maker have to go there because there's a lot of liquidations then. I just don't find it helpful for myself. I'm just looking where are the buys and sells. Yeah, that's about all. And you can assume that like above, let's say this level, there's a lot of, I don't need to see that. I know there's a lot of stops resting over here. If we'll go on the chart, why are they ruining my Bitcoin? I can assume that people took shorts over here, and there's a lot of resting stops in this area, So if we see something like that, we start see liquidations and squeeze. all of these liquidations, basically when they closing shorts, they kind of opening a longs in the same time. So that will fuel the move up higher and help us to clear those walls, you know. So you don't really need the liquidity map to know that that will happen. And similar on the long side. So you can see that the buyers stepping in over here. This is like more of a short term, but let's say here it's, let's say, a lot of longs build up over here with a stops, just below. So if we start rolling over here, get some reaction, and then start accepting below Monday low, we start triggering all of the stops, and they basically, when they closing the longs, they opening the shorts at the same time, and that can trigger, big candle down to that 98, 96.6 level. So you don't really need a liquidity map to understand that that's what will happen. Just depends, but just by looking at the chart. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I guess that was the last question. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Have a fantastic Friday and weekend. And I will be in Poland next week. So I'm not taking microphone with me, but I'll be back most likely in a week. So Saturday or Sunday. So then we'll look to stream, maybe go through some specific content around the educational side. But other than that, thanks so much for joining. Please click like, subscribe if you like it, share around on Twitter if you can, and have a